cell in the body travels to meet the largest, the egg. Billions of sperm race toward a single egg, the only cell with the capacity to create new life. Once the first sperm penetrates the egg, the journey ends for the remaining sperm. Within the fertilized egg, a plan begins to take shape. The nucleus of the sperm carrying the father's genes is drawn toward the nucleus of the egg carrying the mother's genes. They merge and create a new set of genes, one that has never existed before and will never be repeated. This cell is only 12 hours old, yet it contains the DNA that will determine characteristics like gender and eye color, and influence others like personality and talents. The fertilized egg continues its journey through the fallopian tube and into the uterus. This is a time of rapid growth. The egg divides repeatedly, growing from one cell to hundreds in a matter of days. Constant division requires a lot of energy, and the early embryo burrows into the lining of the uterus to be nourished by the mother for the next 9 months. To survive, the embryo must organize, and quickly. The word embryo means swell, and now the cells are growing continuously in number and complexity. Some will form organs, and others will become the amniotic sac. The placenta, a network of blood vessels that forms in the lining of the uterus, is the embryo's source of oxygen and nutrition. When the mother eats, nutrients are absorbed into her bloodstream, pass into the placenta, and travel through the umbilical cord, so the embryo can eat too. The cells that will become the brain and spinal cord fashion a groove. This groove fuses, zipper-like, and creates the neural tube, the foundation of the nervous system. Small blocks of tissue on either side will reach around to build vertebrae and muscles. The heart also begins as a simple tube connected to a network of blood vessels. A single heart cell jolts to life. The rhythmic movement spreads to the surrounding cells, and they pick up the beat. In the coming weeks, this tube will twist, fuse, and divide itself into a 4-chambered heart that will circulate blood full of the oxygen and nutrients the growing embryo needs. The face becomes visible, like features arising from a sculptor's clay, and limb buds emerge and elongate. As the embryo grows and curves, the amniotic sac stretches and fills with fluids, creating a protective bubble. The embryo floats in this liquid cocoon for the entire pregnancy. These first few weeks are a vulnerable time for the embryo, and some do not survive. Those that do have reached an important milestone. The embryo will now be called fetus, from the Latin word for offspring. Having made it through the critical first trimester, all organ systems are in place, and she is ready to grow and explore. The nervous system is abuzz, and new pathways open up a whole new world. Most of her body is now sensitive to touch. The brain and the muscles begin to communicate, and she starts to move deliberately. Now reaching a pivotal crossroads, her lungs have developed enough so that if born prematurely, she has a chance of surviving outside her mother's womb. For months, the fetus lives in silence and darkness, unable to know much about her world. As the cells of the nervous system multiply, the senses awaken, bringing new information about the world inside and outside the womb. Starting from within, a chorus of sounds. Gurgles and swooshes from her mother's body. hear 2 heartbeats, her own racing at twice the speed. The outside world joins the chorus. And her mother's voice is a constant companion. The fetus begins to open and close her eyes, but the watery world remains relatively dark as very little light penetrates the womb. Her tongue is alive with taste buds as she swallows some of the amniotic fluid, which is full of tastes and smells from her mother's food. As layers of fat and muscle thicken, she gains weight, and her skin is now smooth. The end of the long journey is near. Her brain is like a busy highway, carrying information from 100 billion neurons through 100 trillion connections. Although air has not yet entered her lungs, she prepares for that crucial first breath by inhaling and exhaling amniotic fluid. She will sleep most of the time during the last few weeks of the pregnancy, and even during labor.